Welcome everyone to our next episode of MNC Hoops. We are excited to be back in front of you for this next episode. To tell you what week we're in, I have no idea for the NBA, but we're past of course the All Star week, but it's starting getting playoff crunch time. So we're excited to kind of chop this up with you guys. Of course, my name is Michael, and over here to my left is CJ, all the way up from New York. I'm down here in Kentucky, as you can tell with the accents. But CJ, how we doing today, sir?
Doing well, brother. Just relaxing right now, watching the Bucks and the Pacers, 4 or 5 seed. Little preview to what we might see in the first round in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. So just staying in tune to hoops, like you said, it's getting close to the playoffs. About 5 weeks or so away from the first round.
Ooh.
So these teams are going to be locked in. Seeding is going to matter. Home court advantage is going to matter. This is why it's so important. You want to have a consistent run at the start of the season, like we saw with the Cavs and OKC, to where even if there are a little bit of bumps in the road, you have such a large cushion to where the second team, especially in the West, it's like they can't even catch up. OKC would have to completely fall out of it, which obviously is not going to happen. So it's very important time right now throughout the season, and those close, that 3 to 6, really. I mean, it's only about a difference of a couple games in both conferences. So this is like a kind of mini pre-playoffs that we're getting here, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
Absolutely. Of course, sadly, I've not been able to watch too much baseball for Little League has started up, and today was their second day of practice. So it's been a little hectic for me. Son's on a new team. We're going to be wearing the Reds this year, so thank goodness we're away from the Cubs. But so I'm excited about that. We got home probably about 6:45, 7 o'clock. Then had to do supper, get the bats and everything. So that's why I'm rushed a little bit. So I don't like the Cubs. I'm happy that we're going to be Reds this year because Cincy all the way. But should be a fun year trying to juggle 3 kids, career, podcasting, wife as well. So it'll be fun. But it's honestly, it makes it a lot of fun when you rush like this, because not only that, basketball also starts up this Saturday is their very first game. So we got basketball for the next 5 weeks, baseball during that time, opening day's first weekend in April. So yeah, it's gonna be crazy for the Lawson family, but we'll get through. I want to ask you a quick question with kind of what you're talking about, what you've been going on, and this is not on our topics, but you mentioned the seeding and home court advantage. A lot of people now are acting like it's not really that big of a deal. I still think it is, but this new era, I guess you will say, is like it's not about home court advantage or the seeding, because you have to beat the best to be the best. So I want to know how you actually feel about that. Do you think home court advantage is still a thing, and seeding really does matter?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely matters. You want to have that. If push comes to shove, if the game ends up in a game 7, you want that game 7 to be on your home court. It's that the noise, the atmosphere that they can bring on the opposing team could definitely change the complexity of the game. Look at momentum plays, lobs, steals, turned into fast break points, all those type of things. That's a different type of reaction as opposed if you were on the road. So you want to have that game. Winning these regular season games, it matters. It definitely matters. There were talks about shortening the season. It's like, to me, it doesn't make any sense to do that. For what? I mean, you guys getting paid $300 million, to play 60 games. That's a little weird, So everybody, it's been 82 the whole time. You have to build your team that can be able to withstand the entirety of the regular season and the postseason. That's your job. That's what these guys get paid 6-7 figures to do. So this is where it matters. It also matters from a business perspective too, from TV rights. You want to have people watching these games in the regular season, so it also matters as well. Not just from, like you said, the seeding in terms of the players going out there and creating that advantage, but also bringing people to those to the games, to those home games throughout the regular season, leading up to the playoffs. And now you have a special atmosphere, as opposed to just, they might show up here and there during the regular season and, they made the playoffs, let's all link up. and act like we care about the team. No, it needs to be natural
Right.
throughout the whole season. And when you build a great team and the people in the city see that, they're going to go out there and pay a ticket. So I believe it matters on all phases. And again, you look at the two top seeds in the NBA. They check all the boxes when it comes to youth, superstar players, great head coach, disciplined organization, all about the team, not about themselves. Everybody from the team down thinks the same way. And that's why they're having success. And hopefully, ultimately, the ultimate success is winning the championship. Those are two low market organizations. So for them to win a championship and win championships and do that, it's going to be a difficult task. But if they're one of those teams or both of those teams are able to do that in the next 5 years, we're going to have some different conversations.
And I agree with you on everything you said. I don't know where this whole thing. I think it's usually the teams that aren't the higher seeds are kind of saying, it doesn't matter. Like, we're playing for that. But yeah, I think the crowd atmosphere, the home court of that, and just having your fans playing in a site that you've played most of your games all year, I think when it comes to playoffs, I think it's very important. So I don't know what this whole brushing it off as far as that is. I don't like it. Obviously, if I could play on the road or home, I'm going to want to play at home. I mean, that's just the bottom line, period. You're not in a hotel. You're not in any of those kind of things. You don't have to be on an airport to take off to go somewhere. You're home. You're right where you basically do your practicing, your whole things, all that. So to me, I think it's very important.
Yeah, and just last thing. Now, there is a situation where you have those special type players that play out of this world on the road to where the home court doesn't really matter. Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Duncan, Shaq, the great ones. Bird,
the
Magic,
great.
Exactly. So when you have those in this era, we have players like that to where, yes, they may be a 4 or 5 seed, but you're still confident in that player to go there on the road and excel.
Right.
So, yes, even though the seeding, you may not have the home court throughout, early in the series where you're going to have to play a road game while it's still fresh, it's not 7, it's 1. And if you could split those 2 and you don't have home court advantage, it's just a different type of chess game within that day off going into the next game. So it's key. So it is a give or take, but you really have to have a special player or a special duo. And we've seen these already in the NBA right now, a couple.
Oh, for sure.
And a few. So that's what it's going to take to offset a big home court advantage or 2 special players on the same team galvanizing their guys on the road.
Absolutely. I don't know if my connection, it looks like I'm lagging a little bit. CJ, if you lose me or something like that, just let me know. And I forgot to actually run the Ethernet cable straight into my computer, so I'm on Wi-Fi. So if it gets spotty, just let me know and I'll plug that in real quick. So let's go ahead and, since we already talked about home court advantage and everything, let's go ahead and jump into our next conversation here. What we actually have on the lineup here is who will be your MVP at the end of the year. And of course, it's really down to 2 people. It's either going to be Jokic or SGA, and I don't want to say it's neck and neck, but like it's these 2 guys really. So what's your thoughts on this? Mine, but I'm biased and it happens.
It's a great race. This is going to be a discussion that we're going to continue to have for the next 5 years. This is not going anywhere. So as basketball fans, we should be grateful we're having these conversations. Canada, Serbia, you look at how the game is global. These are the top 2 MVP candidates in the best basketball league in the world, and they're not from the States. So that's another key factor. Going to what they've done this season. Jokic had the 30-20-20 game, first player ever to do a 30-20-20, 2 triple doubles in 1 game. It's just, I don't know. It's just he's on a different level. He's on a different level. He's great. He's also playing in an era that doesn't have elite defensive front court players. It's true. Like I say, he's a great player. Gobert, he doesn't fear Gobert. They don't
No.
like Gobert is a game changer. I've seen guys drive to the basket and keep dribbling and not go up like as they usually do for somebody else underneath the basket.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen that. I'm gonna be objective, but Jokic, it's not Dwight Mutombo. Yeah, it's not a Hakeem Olajuwon. Not those type
Right.
of game-changing front court defensive players. We don't see that. There's nothing like that in this era. It's just facts. So he's benefiting from that, and then also the high IQ, and centers really don't know what to do. They're not skilled enough. They don't have great post defense. They haven't been coached. I don't know what they do in the offseason. We're going to talk about front court players a little bit more, but it kind of just speaks to how great Jokic is and how he's dominated in this era. 3-level scorer. He gets to his spots. He takes wide open threes. He doesn't take contested threes. Doesn't take contested step back threes. That's the difference between him and Luka, right? And Luka's great, but sometimes he has too much Harden, a little bit too much Harden. I don't like that. I don't like I know you can make that shot. You can make that contested step back three, but just because they go under doesn't mean you always have to take that contested step back three. That's the thing with me. Jokic, he'll couple dribbles and one. He's like 65 to 70%, like 12 feet in. So this is why he has a championship and Luka doesn't. And this is why he has 3 MVPs and Luka doesn't as well, despite both of those guys being first team All NBA the last 5 years together. Averaging a triple double. Last person to do that was Westbrook. His teammate. So it's just 30. He's just special, bro. He's special. And I'll give you the floor for SGA.
Okay. To me, my right earpiece always wants to fall out. To me, the reason why it's SGA is, yes, it's 32 points, which, I mean, is higher in points, but the rebounds and assists, obviously, it's Jokic on that. But 52% from a point guard who not only shoots threes, but also is driving a lot and shooting acrobatic shots, a lot of contested shots, and still shooting that 52%, to me, is very impressive. And not only that, is when you mention the Nuggets, you already think of Jokic and Jamal, plus you've got Gordon, and even Michael Porter Jr. is already into those, like, oh, wow, that's a great 4 right there. When you mention OKC, we've said this numerous of times, it's SGA and other players. I mean, we think Chet should be the number 2, but is he really the number 2 now? We got Jalen on the team as well. That is a wonderful player too for the whole season. But it's almost like you hear this said a lot in like newspapers back probably 20 years ago, but articles and different things where it's like Jordan and company, but like this is really SGA and his whole team that he's carrying. Now, obviously, I'm not being disrespectful with the rest of the team because they bought into the whole team philosophy of defense. And this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to score. So I give it to OKC for buying into the system on that. But SGA is 100% most of their offense. I mean, if he's not passing, he's shooting. If he's not shooting, he's finding the open guy. Like, to me, SGA is superior at this moment for the fact that he's the 1 seed. OKC was also 1-2 seed most of the season last year as well. So this is really, to me, SGA proven that he is that elite player moving forward. Now, also, I hate to say this, but I do think it weighs a lot on the voters is Jokic has 2 MVPs now. 3 MVPs? Okay, 3 MVPs. And unfortunately, I think sometimes that does hinder the votes. SGA, this point guard coming out of OKC, it's going to look more storylines with this. As far as, it's Jokic already got 3, maybe getting his 4th. It's kind of getting redundant on the articles. And agree, I don't think, I'm telling you, I don't think that's legit, but I do think some voters may be that way. But I'm going by what's going on. OKC is the number 1 in the West. This isn't the East, which respect on those names, but this is in the West, number 1 seed, and they've pretty much been the 1 seed since the beginning, at least very early, within 15 games for sure. Now, I will say the Nuggets have been back for a while at the beginning of the season, and they've worked their way up. Some injuries from other teams, whatnot, but they are at the 2nd seed now. So if I had to vote right now, not because he went to Kentucky, not at all, I promise you that, it's going to SGA because what he's doing at the point guard position in a backcourt NBA now, he is by far the best point guard in the NBA at this moment. So
all great points. I can't disagree with. I really don't disagree with.
I appreciate that.
Just based on what they've done, and it's just been a process. This is the trust. This is what when you say trust the process. This is OKC. What OKC did is trust the process. This is what trust the process is right here, not what happened in Philadelphia. Right.
Let's not even go there.
Yeah, it's just night and day. When you talk about execution, and this is Sam Presti has done it twice. He's done it twice. Yeah. So it's gonna be what 3 MVPs. He didn't draft SGA, but he took a chance on SGA, and it was developed him, and they built around him, as you said. So it's the same thing he did with Russ and KD and Harden. So it's been great to see his development since the moment he got drafted. When he got drafted, we saw the flashes. He was always confident, was able to get to his spots. He wasn't scared at the moment. He was putting up 23, 22 points. Like, if this guy gets some more shots, he's going to be good. This is rookie season, 2018. He wasn't top 5 pick. He went, 14? I think it was the 14th pick, 13, 14. I think he was before or after Michael Porter Jr. And that's one of the greatest draft classes ever. That's Luka, Trae Young, Brunson, I believe Jaren Jackson, Ayton. There was a lot of Colin Sexton, SGA, obviously, MPJ. Great draft class. Great draft class. So, 32. He's averaging pretty much 33 points a night. To me, he's the MVP. He's the MVP. You got to go with SGA. I understand what Jokic is doing, and he's really having his best season. This is his best season. He's averaging a triple-double on 57%. Yeah. So, these voters, it's tough, but I feel like, again, SGA has been consistent from day one, from the start of the season. Most 50-point games in the season, most 30-point games in the season. Up there in steals. It's not like he's chucking the ball. He's efficient. Some people don't like the way he gets to the free throw line. Sometimes he foul baits. Being sometimes, yes, he does. But if the referees are going to call it, he knocks down his free throws, like 90% from the free throw line. So he makes it count. Now, the next step, if he's going to win the MVP, the next step is got to get to the conference finals. It's not even a debate. Like, it doesn't matter if pundits and so-called experts pick another team other than you. You're the number 1 seed. Yeah. What you talked about home court, right? So he wins the MVP. I believe he's going to win the MVP. The next step this season is at least get into the Western Conference Finals. At least. It's just everybody, they're healthy. So it's time. It's time. What Jokic is doing right now is going to be tough. Will they cross paths? It'd be great if they cross paths in the second round. It's looking that way. It's definitely looking that way that they'll see each other in the second round. If everything aligns over these next 18 games. But yeah.
So you're with me. If we're voting, if we had a vote, we're both going to SGA, right?
Yeah, I'm picking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir.
And like I said, it's one of the best MVP races we've seen in a long time. Now, I don't know what the media is going to do. A lot of publicly, it seems like it's still Jokic, which is fine. Like, I was like, but I'm like, this guy has most 50-point games, and I don't know. I don't know what they're really looking for, and I don't know what these writers are going to do. That's going to be interesting. I feel like he really is nothing else he could do unless, again, he just has a slump, which I really don't see at this point of the season for either guy. So if it stays where it's at, and I feel like SGA has just been a little bit more consistent from the beginning of the season, that's what I'm gonna go with.
And for the fact too, like 52% from your point guard, like I understand 57 when you're shooting dunks or putbacks or stuff like that from the block, from the post. Like, okay, you should shoot somewhat higher percentage, but this point guard is getting to the free throw line. We know that, but also shooting, running jumpers, fadeaways, 3-pointers. I mean, he's really shooting from anywhere that he can double team sometimes, and shooting 52, basically 53%. The only thing that I would really say as far as going for Jokic, with the basically 29 points plus the 10 assists, you're basically contributing to almost 50 points at the minimum if everyone shoots twos for the 10 assists that he gets a game. When SGA's got 32 with the 6, at the bottom you're looking at 44 points. So, I mean, Jokic is producing more points all over, and plus the rebounds as well. So it really hurts to even say that Jokic couldn't win it just by stats alone. But to me, you have to take in consideration that SGA is doing this pretty much all by himself offensively.
Yeah, I can't go that far. Pretty much all by himself offensively, because they've been top of the league in offense and defense. So, like, yeah, of course, SGA is the best player on the team, but they just have a collection of really young players. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, like, they're developing in real time. He's advanced. He's more advanced than them, but they're still playing at a high level together, despite them being one of the youngest teams in the league. That's also another thing nobody's talking about. They're so young, and he's the leader of the team. It's not like he's 32 or whatever. He's pretty young himself. So I can't say it's just by himself. By himself is like maybe one of those LeBron years in Cleveland. It's like that 09 season, that 07 LeBron year. This is a little.
Well, there's no superstar with him. Like it's a collective effort. So like he's here and the rest of the team's here. So that's why I'm saying by himself. Now, I mean, obviously the rest of them are pitching in and doing whatever they can. But if you think Oklahoma City, the very first player you're thinking of is SGA.
Yeah,
so I mean, when you think of the Nuggets, you think of Jokic, but you also think of Jamal Murray, and you think of these other players too. I mean, you think Jokic first, but these other guys are also names. So you're like, oh man, they're good, they're great, they did this. When you think of OKC, it's SGA and Chet, who was hurt, and of course he's having a great year.
That depends on who you're asking, though. Like if you're asking a casual, then yeah, of course they're gonna say it's just SGA.
Right.
But if you actually watch the team like that, there's no way you could just say that, because it's not like they're the number 1 seed in the West. Like it's a team effort. There's no way they're the number 1 seed in the West and it's just SGA. Like, yes, he's the best player, but we're gonna say we can't say it's the best conference. We can't say it's the best conference in basketball, and then say it's just SGA and everybody. Like, there's no way you can't say that.
Okay, that's fair. And I wasn't trying to be disrespectful to the rest of the teams, but I mean, I'm just saying when I think OKC, it's SGA and company, and they're helping. Like, I mean, they're all doing a collective effort. That's just my opinion on it. But so yeah, I'm glad that SGA is winning MVP this year. We just sit here on MNC Hoops, so mark it down, guys. Put those bets in on DraftKings or whatever, no affiliation, and let's see if we make some money on that.
Yeah, no.
So let's see here. Go ahead. Coming to our next topic. Now, CJ, I know you'll love talking about this because I'm pretty sure this is your favorite team in the West. But LeBron James is going to be out for quote weeks. Can LA keep the top 3 seed? So, CJ, what's your thoughts on this? And before you start, did you see where they actually think he hurt his groin on the video?
Yeah, it was like 6 minutes left in the game, right?
Well, of course, it's probably just – well, some people were saying that it's when he was before game, he jumped on someone's back and was doing something, and they're like, oh, this is where people think he tweaked it. He didn't look like he was hurt to me. I didn't know if you've seen it. It looked like he was just goofing with
Richard Jefferson, right?
Jefferson. Yeah. Yes, Jefferson. I'm like, I don't know if I really believe that because he didn't grab or even act like he was in any pain. I just think that's just people.
Exactly. Yeah, that sounds like a clickbait post on social media just to get a reaction.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, LeBron
All right,
out.
so he's out for weeks.
Yeah, I think this is a big loss. It's a big loss for the Lakers right now. They just dropped from the second seed to the third seed. Nuggets took the second seed after they lost to the Nets yesterday. A bad loss. It's in Brooklyn, but so what? And the Nets are good. They're not it's not the Hornets or the Wizards we're talking about. They're a good team. They have some really good players. Jordy Fernandez doing a solid job. Rookie head coach. It's going to take some time. They got a lot of draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good win by them, but the Lakers still should have got that win. It wasn't an efficient game by Luka yesterday or by Austin Reeves. Still waiting on Hachimura to come back. It's a tough loss. It's a tough loss for sure. You don't know. There's like a graphic outlet. He always kind of gets hurt around this time, at least over the last few years with the Lakers. So I guess that's just riling up, probably stepping it up towards the end of December, going into January and bringing it in. You're going to have knick-knack injuries. Hopefully, this isn't too long. He could get back into the lineup and they can make this push.
Yeah, as far as for me, I think 3 seed, I'm not for sure what the standings really are or how close, but if he's out for weeks, I mean, quote, weeks, of course. We're not for sure if it's going to be 1 to 2 weeks, but they are saying weeks now or possibly more. I think it's detrimental for him. I think this is also bad for Luka, who's still kind of coming back from his injuries. He's played probably, a week, maybe 2 weeks now. If he overdoes it and trying to exert himself to lead to those victories or whatever, I think it could turn out to be bad. It'll put some wear and tear on a freshly healthy Luka. Obviously, we don't want any injuries whatsoever on him, but I do think with Luka and company, that must be my thing to say this week or this episode. But I think they can manage some wins on this and keep going. I mean, still, if you fall from the 3rd seed, it's not the end of the world as long as you stay within that 4 or 5. Well, 5 or 6 is at the minimum, of course, because then you're play-in after that. But I think they'll be fine for 2 weeks. Hopefully, LeBron can get back. We can have the Lakers with full force and see what they really are capable. Because since getting Luka, they have looked. Record-wise, they've looked great. Let's just be honest. I mean, they what did they win 9 in a row at one point?
8 in a row.
8 in a row. 8 in a row.
It was 8 in a row, yeah.
So I mean, this Laker team fully strength. I mean, who knows what their limit really is? So I think they'll be okay. Can they keep the 3 seed? I'm going to say no, but I'm not going to panic for them.
So the Grizzlies and the Rockets are behind them.
Grizzlies and Rockets.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me go look at it. I apologize, everyone. Let me go to the standings here because
I think it could be like a blessing in disguise in a way because Luke, to be honest, this is what it's going to be. What 2 years from now, Luka on the Lakers by himself. So might as well start getting. Yeah, might as well start getting accustomed to that because that's going to be a reality here very soon. And Austin Reeves, I want to see him and Austin Reeves as a backcourt. That's going to be fun to watch. So, yes, LeBron is out, but this is also a reason why you were so adamant in making this move is because remember we talked about the age gap. So he's still only 20. I think he's 26 now. So it's. You talking about he needs to come back? Yeah, he needs to come back and play.
Right.
Now, listen, if the calf, if he's 100%, well, now close to 100%, not going to be 100%, in game 70 something, or 60 something, but you still want to see what he does in terms of making everybody around him better on this new team. and he's done that. We've seen the numbers actually with his passes to certain players and what their percentages are when they shoot the ball as opposed to somebody else. It's significantly higher. So again, these guys want to knock down shots when he's giving them the rock. It's a highlight. You knock down a shot, it's a highlight. You're on a highlight forever because he's going to be an all timer when it's all said and done. So it just makes you work a little bit harder. And I think with JJ Redick, how he's going to scheme things up for Luka and Reeves now, because they're going to be the two primary guys. That's going to be interesting to see how he coaches without LeBron, because he's supposed to be there post LeBron as well, right? Okay, so we need to see what he does and how he's able to accumulate wins and get victories when LeBron is not there. And they've had success here and there, but this will tell us a lot. Because there were times when LeBron was out with AD, like they were winning games, they were playing well, but it wasn't as dominant. So now let's see what it looks like when it's Luka and no LeBron and some of those other guys still there. But this Pacers Bucks game is an all-timer right now. As expected. Halliburton just got
really
fouled. 4-point play.
What's the score?
Oh, no. He just knocked down the three. He just knocked down the three. It wasn't a 4-point play.
Okay.
Let me see. Giannis right in front of Giannis. Wow. That's crazy.
Now, I'm going to say this. You may hate me on this, but, is it too far to reach to say that the Warriors come in at the 3 seed by the end of this?
Yeah, where they're playing right now, sure, why not? I don't see why. I mean, listen, I'll have to see what their next couple games look like, but
they're 9-1 in their last 10. I mean, since Jimmy Butler's come around, it's almost like a surge of energy from him to be on a competitive team to win with Steph, of course, and Draymond on the team. I mean, they're only technically 3 wins less than Lakers. There are 5 losses more than the Lakers, but there's not too many games that really separate these two teams. Technically 4 games behind the Lakers. So, I mean, I wouldn't really be surprised if the Warriors really take that 3rd seed and jump Memphis and Houston and the Lakers to get that.
Very possible. Very possible. The way Steph Curry's been playing. Whew. I mean, he's been on a tear over the last 3 weeks or so. 50-point game, a couple 40-point games, fadeaway, half-court threes, effortlessly, not even hitting the backboard, nothing but net. Top 1 PG ever. I mean, I said it when you invited me on the show, bro. 2022, when they won the chip. I was like, after they won the chip, I was like, that's it. He's the greatest point guard ever. And you bring in Butler now, they could definitely make that push. For the Lakers, though, again, I want to see what this team looks like. Just Luka-led Lakers, because what do the people say on TV? They say you got to give Luka the keys, let him be the number 1 option. Of course, makes all the sense in the world, timeline-wise.
Right.
And I want to see what they're able to do. And then when they face a little bit of adversity, what does this team look like? Injuries happen all the time. All teams face injuries. How are you going to respond? And that's what I'm looking forward to seeing the most from everybody on that team, not just Luka.
Trying to look real quick. I apologize. The Warriors next 5 to 10 games here. The Warriors got Sacramento, New York, Denver, Milwaukee, Toronto, Atlanta, Miami, and New Orleans. So a few of those games, yes. A few of those games could be close. We'll see how it goes. I mean,
it looks good
out of
on
those
the back
games.
end. That front was the front end of those games. Those first couple games was tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Especially the New York, Denver, and Milwaukee. I mean, Sacramento, we don't know what they're really going to be doing. They have made different changes since the trades and are playing, I think, more as a team. So obviously it'll be a tough match, but at the same time, you're really looking at the Knicks, the Nuggets, and the Bucks on those 3. Now let's see if I can find the Lakers real quick. Oh, let me go back one more.
They should have got that dub yesterday.
about here. All right, so their next games. Got to scroll for a while. All right, so they got the Bucks, the Nuggets, the Suns, the Spurs, the Nuggets again, Milwaukee, and Chicago. So Lakers got a little bit of a stretch right here. Some tough teams. Milwaukee twice, Denver twice, San Antonio, of course, is always going to be a tough because of the power that they have, star power that they have, and the youth with it as well. Phoenix, I think that's going to be a W for the Lakers. And, I think it's a great way that we can go ahead and transition into our next topic here is, the Phoenix Suns, man, like, unfortunately, all the talk that they've been about this year has been negative. And I think the sun is finally setting in Phoenix because it might be time for the Suns to break this up. And of course, they're saying if they were to trade. Now, I want to ask you this, make sure I'm understanding this right, because I hadn't read this yet. 3 first-round picks for KD and 3 first-round picks for Booker if he's available?
Yeah. So this is the first article here. Phoenix Suns would likely seek 3 first-round picks and a young player in any trade involving Kevin Durant this offseason. Sources inform the Republic the most ideal return on the Durant trade is regaining 3 first-round picks and a young player as a part of a multi-team deal tied to getting under the second apron. Right, so I mean that just makes the most sense just based on how he's playing right now, and you have to get something back because you gave up so many picks to Brooklyn to acquire him. So the experiment didn't work out. So you need some type of compensation to keep your team alive. Because I know I wouldn't show up to the game. I know I wouldn't pay a ticket. I'm keeping that money. I could use that towards something else if the Phoenix Suns are not going to be entertaining. So they need to find a way to salvage this, salvage their future. If they gave up so much of their future for the present, which is, I mean, listen, you take risk in life, and I can't knock the executives and everything that were part of the Phoenix Suns in terms of making this move and then making the move for Beal happen, but ultimately it did. I believe this is very similar to the Westbrook situation when it was LeBron and AD. I feel like it hurt them. It set them back a couple years. Now, granted, Rob Pelinka was able to make some great trade deadline moves that Hachimura, Vanderbilt, just not a trade deadline move, but the development of Austin Reeves throughout that whole time with Russ being there, him getting confidence and now seeing what he's able to do right now in present day. All those things occurred with them still having Westbrook. And then they used Westbrook they got D'Lo, then used D'Lo to get draft picks, get Dorian Finney-Smith. The Suns didn't make any moves like that. They never made trade deadline moves to improve the roster. I feel like that Beal trade really hurt them in terms of them being able to help improve the team because he's a player that has a no trade clause. So he has a lot of leverage on where he wants to go. And you can only pretty much talk to teams that he's going to be okay with going with too. And listen, I'm not knocking him for it. You were able to get that in your contract. Mm-hmm. You and your agent did a hell of a job. I mean, you pretty much have power where you go. A lot of players can't say that. They could get, as we've seen with Luka and these guys getting traded, right? So, unfortunately, it didn't work out. They never sacrificed in terms of playing defense. They could score, but the Phoenix Suns are either second to last or dead last in every defensive category. Whew. It's terrible. It's terrible. And you have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. You just have names. You have names, but you don't have a great team. And over these last few stops with KD, that's what we've said. Great names, but not great teams. And he's been the best player on those teams, and they haven't had a lot of success. And he's playing well, but the team is not playing well. So people have their criticisms. That's just a fact. That's just what it is. He's got swept over the last few years. That's something that we shouldn't even be talking about. KD getting swept. Not at this point in his career. Maybe early in your career, when you're young, going up against a veteran team, you're not ready yet. But 36, 37, getting swept like at least 7 games. If you got a KD, if you got a team with KD and Booker, you shouldn't be getting swept. So when they got swept last year in the first round, I was like, what is this? I was shocked. And then they don't even improve. They got worse from last year. You got swept in the first round, and now you're still the worst. You're the worst defensive team in the league. So something's got to give, and I think it's definitely time. It's definitely time to make some moves and shake some things up. Booker, I'm getting into Booker next, but I feel like the Booker KD experiment didn't work because they made a bad trade and getting Bradley Beal, because they could have used those assets, Chris Paul or whatever, to maybe get get a better player. Get a better player that could have helped them, similar to like Austin Reeves, a better third option, someone that could fit what they do, not do exactly what they do. And I think that was really the problem, and that Beal trade really hurt them.
I do agree with you 100% on that. And honestly, I always thought Chris Paul would have been the better option, because that's a true point guard who can set Booker up on whatever isolation that he needs, or just, the pick and roll with a Booker fading from the 3-point line off of that. Then you also got KD over onto the other side. Like, you put Booker on one side, KD on the other, and say Chris Paul, get a pick here, go here. If they help, you got KD there. If not, you got the lob on that. I mean, you just got so many different options going on there. With Bill, I feel like it's too many players, 3 players that are ball dominant on ISO, or even, just driving the ball a lot. So I feel like that was their mistake. And we even mentioned this before, like everywhere that KD has been traded to has been a failure, because you have to give up so much to get KD, and it hurts the bench. And you've said so many times that the center positions are one of their weakest spots. And just so I feel like you said, I kind of agree with what you're saying now. I didn't think about it, but it's name recognition with this team. Bill and what he used to be, Booker and the greatness that he is, and KD, who should be leading this team as the voice to say, this is how we're supposed to do when I have a ring. And it's guys who want to play ball that are good, but put on a team together and they don't jive well. We see it happen a few times. So my opinion, if I'm the Suns, I have a meeting with KD and Booker and say, hey, you two guys are our future here if you want to be. But if you're wanting to go elsewhere, we need to really hash this out and try to figure out what we want, because we want to win. We'd like to win with you guys. But if we can't figure out this defensive problem and sacrifice for each other, then we're going to have to break up and move elsewhere. What team would you like to be traded to? So that's just kind of how I feel on it. I don't know why these guys haven't bought into defense, because defense is one of the most pivotal things when it comes to winning a championship. It's been proven so many times. Let's see. I'm trying to look at some stats. That's team stats. Looks like, well, I can't see it here.
And on the Booker side, if this is the end, man, you want to talk about having patience. And ultimately, I would say it paid off. I would say the patience paid off, because they did go to the finals. They had another 60-win season the year after that. A really good team, really good players at the time. He was able to play with Kevin Durant on the Phoenix Suns. A lot of people can't say that. Go to the All-Star game with KD as your All-Star teammate. It's just, so should it have been better? Yes. But it's not a Stephen Curry Golden State Warriors situation. They tried to make it that way in that little stint when they got in Chris Paul. It was looking promising then, but ultimately it fell through. And there's been a couple talks to some teams for Booker. Same thing. Phoenix Suns could receive 4 first-round picks and a rising star. Same exact thing. So they can really get massive haul if they're really to do this. To me, I don't see the direction. They got worse. And they got swept the year before. So to me, it's you're wasting your time. To me, you're wasting time. I don't think KD is going to want to stay there. The West is just too competitive to have a 500 ball club. That's what they are. They're a 500 ball club, and that's not good enough. Mediocre is not good enough in the West. Got to get you out the play-in. Not even that. Not even in the play-in. Mediocre in the East will get you in the play-in, but mediocre in the West will get you out of the playoffs. Not even make the playoffs. So it's a different caliber. And again, it was a great run. What it was 10 years. Booker was there 10 years, 10 years. So if this is the end, hopefully they do right and let him go somewhere. Definitely deserves to have a say in the next stop if this occurs. People saying the Pistons #1 pick. I believe he's from Detroit, so that'd be him and Cade. That'd be fun. I mean, as a Knicks fan, not fun for me to watch. Would much rather him stay in the West. I do not want to see Cade and Booker because Cade already gives the Knicks problems. So you just add Booker to that. That's a dangerous backcourt. We'll see. We'll see. Again, I just don't see the direction. If I saw some type of direction, I'd be like, listen, I'd say exactly what you said. Hold off, have a meeting. I feel like you still have that meeting because all the teams do at the end of the year, they have the talks with the executives. You really got to sit down with both players and say, what do you want to do? Do you guys want to be moved? But then it's ultimately what can the team do in terms of improving the team, and if they're capped out in terms of they can't make any moves from a cap standpoint, acquiring guys, you have to figure out the next steps.
I'm going to ask you this, just kind of going with this here, because it looks like more than likely one, if not both, are going to be moved some form of fashion. If you're the Suns franchise, if you had to pick one to move, which one would you want to be moving?
They're going to move Durant because Booker is younger.
And been with the franchise since the beginning, too. Like, I feel like there's some loyalty that should be there.
Yeah, KD's the better player, but Booker, exactly. But what you said, and he's younger. He's the younger guy.
I think it's interesting, too, because I agree that KD is better, but yet they're saying the prediction here is 3 first rounds and a young player, but for Booker, it's 4 first rounds and a rising star. So I just think it's funny that even now, Kevin Durant still has a lower value in the trade market than Booker, but yet he's the better player. So why would that possibly be? Is it the receipts we have from elsewhere, or just youth?
Yeah, I believe it's the youth. I mean, again, because even on the KD post, it was 3 first round picks. It was 3 first round picks in a rising star. This one is 4. Right. So it's, again, and also they don't want to get fleeced, like how the Mavs got fleeced. How do you not get any first round pick? So off rip. It's like Gobert was the worst. It's like Gobert got the most when he shouldn't have, and the Mavericks got the least amount when they were supposed to.
Yep.
It's so weird.
And I guess that's one of my always go-to comparison is the Gobert. 5 first-round picks for a defensive player. Booker 4, KD 3. Like, just doesn't seem right. But of course,
because that was a bad trade. It was a bad deal. It was a bad deal. Yeah.
Definitely.
It's just one of those moves, man. And you asked me the question, like, which one I would do. I would trade KD, but even if you keep Booker, like, so what is that? He's not going to stay there. That's another rebuild. That's a new team you got to figure out. Right. I mean, yeah, even if you trade him, yes, he has to go through that again as well. But with this team, it's like it's kind of like Fox. the Kings. It's like, here we go again. You fired Mike Brown. Now I got another head coach. Another losing season. Another year we don't make the playoffs. I want a new change. I want a new fresh change of scenery. So
yeah, because if
what does
Booker
that
goes
even look
anywhere,
like?
it's like he's going to a competitive team, like that's ring searching. Like, hey, we have a shot. We're going for it now. But if he stays, they're getting 3 first-round picks and a person that's rising. So, I mean, you're looking 4 or 5 years down the road that you have a full team from that trade. And I just don't know if Booker would be staying there. So I guess that's a good point, actually. So probably the meeting's more or less going to go, hey, KD, we're going to move you to wherever we can so we can get the picks back. And then Booker, out of respect for you, we want you to stay. But if you're going to go elsewhere, we understand because we're going to be rebuilding and we don't want to waste your talent and your years here. We'd love to keep you, but if you're wanting to move, we understand. Let's go.
My thing is like, what team is that? Houston? Gotta be Houston. They're the only team to me to have
KD?
I mean, for Booker. Let's just say both for both players. What team is that? Look, what team? They were saying the Mavericks want to try to get KD. That'd be. Listen, it's now health.
Right.
So I can't even. It's just that's just a 2K team to me right now. That's a 2K team. It just is because of the injuries.
That possibly could have happened if they got more first-round picks on that trade. But let's see here.
To me, I feel like it's the same teams for both players, honestly. Grizzlies have some young players. If they feel like they
Orlando?
Well, who's the rising star? I mean, you're not moving Franz or Banchero, so it's not happening. And it's unfortunate that Jaden Ivey got hurt and tore his ACL because he would have kind of would have fit that rising young star with the picks. Mm-hmm. So if even with somebody like Booker, that's going to be interesting just to see what's going to be the teams. I would like to see some of these Eastern Conference teams make moves.
Right.
Me personally, like the Bulls. Again, I said Detroit already. Brooklyn would like to see Brooklyn make. They have that. They have the assets. Now, obviously, KD won't go back to Brooklyn, but
right.
With someone like Booker, any of the other teams, you gotta try to compete, man. Mm-hmm. You can't just be in the lottery every single year. Like,
yeah, I wish Charlotte could get it together. Like everyone used to love the Hornets in the 90s and the early 2000s. Like it's just that blue that they've got. Everyone loves it, and it's just Muggsy Bogues during that time. But we can't get the Hornets to be good again. And obviously, they're not making any moves like that.
No.
All right, let's get back on something that's more upbeat, more positive conversation here. Everyone was watching the Lakers-Celtics on Saturday. Of course, it was a great game. Had some stats pulled up here. Let me get back to it. Where did it go? That's not it at all. Go here. Oh. Of course, you got up here. Most watched regular season game in 7 years. 4.6 million viewers. That's crazy. And, of course, we had a lot of star power game here with Luka. Of course, obviously, LeBron's still with the Lakers. And, of course, the whole Celtics team. So, the Lakers-Celtics averaged 4.6 million views on NBA. Wow, I can't talk. Saturday primetime on ABC, making this the most watched regular season game in 7 years, excluding the Christmas Day, and up 92% versus the comparable window. The game peaked at 5.3 million viewers and was the most watched program in primetime on Saturday. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, the NBA set this up for Luka to go to the Lakers, and I'm just like, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. Listen, not surprised. There's so much star power the reigning defending champions, the team that defeated Luka in the finals last year. They're going up against Luka now. Luka's running mate is LeBron. Like, of course, you're gonna watch that. LeBron has his fans. Luka has his fans. You got the Laker fans and Celtics fans as well. Basketball purists. You had to sit down and watch this game, because this could be a potential NBA Finals matchup. And I'm sure the NBA is hoping they see this Finals matchup within the next few years, because it was an exciting game. It was an exciting game. Now it's unfortunate that LeBron got hurt as the Lakers were kind of starting to come back in the game. They made it close. Luka was knocking down shots. He wasn't really doing that in the first half. They did a great job defensively. Jaylen Brown, all those guys, they made shots difficult for him, but he picked it up in the fourth quarter. And ultimately, LeBron got hurt, so we really didn't see like what the ending was going to look like. Kind of quasi at full strength, because Rui was out for the Lakers and Porzingis was out for the Celtics. But it was still a very entertaining game. Tatum had 40, Brown had 30. It lived up to the hype. It lived up to the hype. I'm definitely down to see 7 more games of this. This is what the NBA needs. This is exactly what they needed. They need stars on historic, legendary franchises. And this is exactly what they got.
Man, if this was the NBA Finals, the history that these two teams have for just the NBA against each other, it would be, I mean, do you want to say poetic to see this happen here with Luka going to a new team? Like you said earlier, losing to this team in the finals last year, now going to another team to combat that and have a revenge series. It would have the NBA, I don't want to say, like, because there's people that's quoted that Luka has saved the NBA, this trade saved the NBA. I don't get into all that. It's just, if the Lakers are the best team and the Celtics are the best team, we're going to watch no matter who's on it, honestly. But this is what makes those classic videos that we see 10 to 15 years from now of these highlights and everything. So I think it'd be wonderful to have it. But at the same time, I'm not huge into the top dogs always being in the finals. Sometimes I like the underdogs in there. But it would just be a lot of fun to watch the Celtics, the Lakers, in my lifetime battle it out, I guess.
In that first half, we really saw, throughout the whole game, we saw why Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP. The way he played defense on Luka. He was shot 40% from the field, 29% from 3 in the finals. Like, it was 28-8. It was 29-8-8. But it was on 40, 29, 70, 75 plus shooting splits. And a lot of that had to do with Jaylen Brown. Athletic, about the same height as Luka, stay in front of him. He doesn't foul, stays down, doesn't fall for the pump fakes. He's a smart basketball player. That's why he won the Finals MVP. You watch that, you see how he played defensively on Luka and the way he made things difficult for him. And I just think everybody else did a great job in collectively trying to making it difficult for Kyrie in that series. You got to give that man his credit, man. Definitely one of the best two-way players in the league. So he could do that. He could guard Luka and get you 30.
That's tough right there.
$300 million.
Man, oh man. Guard Luka and get 30. Usually it's an assignment of guard their best player, and hey, if you score 10, 15 points, it's great, but yeah. All right, so let's move on. We've got another one, and this is getting some buzz around, of course, college basketball, NBA. I think some of our former players have made comments on this, but here's the question. Will Cooper Flagg stay another year at Duke? And I can't remember who it was, but said, hey, stay one more year. Go back to Duke instead of going to Washington. Let's see here. Cooper Flagg is more likely to return to Duke than play for the Hornets. And, of course, there is now spreads here on the percentage of where he goes. Duke's at 290, and then we got Hornets at 550, Wizards 550, Jazz 550, the Pelicans at 650, Nets, 76ers, Raptors, and Bulls. I mean, that would be crazy if he. I mean, let's be honest. Money talks, guys. If you're going number one, the contracts that you're going to get with that, the millions that you're going to make, plus just your endorsements and stuff, it would be tough to come back. Now, with the NILs, I understand it's a different ball game than it was 5 years ago with that. So there's a chance, I guess. Plus, here's my thing on it. If you don't want to go play for the Hornets or the Washington Wizards, next year it's going to be another team that's at that bottom. So, I don't know what's going to be better next year for you, because more than likely it's going to be Washington and Hornets yet again next year. So, I mean, don't play for them this year and come back, risk getting hurt and not going first overall. I mean, to me, there's a lot of risk when you could go there. I mean, let's be honest. Now the NBA is you play five years with that rookie contract, and there's a chance you could go elsewhere if you're not signed back. You do whatever. So I mean, players are moving quite a bit in these last probably decade than what we're used to in my era, anyways. So I think he goes. I don't think he comes back. But what do you think?
He's going to the NBA. Definitely going to the NBA. Yeah, no doubt about it. Number one pick. Listen, Duke having a special year at Duke. Gonna win a bunch of awards. Of course,
Kentucky beat them. It's all
right. But of course, we want to try to win a national championship with your freshman season. That's the goal, right? That's kind of the icing on the cake. Kind of being one and done. It's the perfect season. A perfect one and done season is winning the chip. So he's trying to be on his way to doing that. But ultimately, you're going to the league. If he goes to the Hornets, they're a disappointing franchise. Talent-wise, there would be LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Cooper Flagg, Mark Williams. Now, a lot of things have to occur. Now, again, mindset. Not can Flagg get there and change the complexity of the franchise, something that we have not seen a player do. Kemba flashes, but they needed somebody else. They needed a big guy next to him because he was a great guard, but they never had a great front court player next to Kemba. But so he was never really able to turn it around the right way. And again, of course, the organization was terrible. And now I guess I don't know what, it's a different ownership. They're still not winning a bunch of games. So, but you have to kind of give them grace because there is a new ownership. If they're able to get Cooper Flagg, again, that's a starting lineup that healthy, they have to commit defensively. They all have to commit defensively. That's a pretty good front court with Mark Williams and Cooper Flagg. But I look at LaMelo Ball, injuries hasn't been great. Mark Williams, injuries hasn't been great. So those guys have to stay healthy. But from a talent perspective, you're telling me he gets drafted by the Hornets, that people showing up to those games. Those might be sold out games. One he's already playing in North Carolina. So that's just a seamless transition. It's just to go right there.
Oh yeah.
And I think I'd much rather see him with the Hornets than the Wizards, the Jazz. I don't want to see him on those teams. I hope the Hornets get the first pick and they take Cooper Flagg, and he's the guy that transforms that organization with LaMelo, and that'd be such a fun team to watch. There'd be no excuses for LaMelo. If they're all healthy, they walk out, you throw the ball out there with those five guys, you just run the floor. They're all young. Run the floor. LaMelo, front court. You play defense, you're going to get easy points with those guys. Get stops. You're going to get so many easy baskets. And, that'll be up to Charles Lee to instill that mindset into those young players. That's his job. But, man, I'm rooting for that. I'm rooting for that. We need to push that narrative. Flagg to the Hornets.
I mean, I didn't even think about the North Carolina. I mean, that's perfect for them. Like, Hornets probably are having a hard time selling many tickets this year. If you put Cooper Flagg, who played at Duke, on that team, it's going to produce a lot more ticket sales. We know that no matter what that record is. Just having a home guy from college can make that transition there would be wonderful for them. I'm just wondering, there's been talks, and we talked about this maybe 2 or 3 or 4 episodes ago, that LaMelo Ball might be the next big name traded. What if the Hornets don't have that first overall pick, and that's what they use kind of with, first round picks, whatever, to try to move up in the draft to go for Cooper Flagg? Hey, we'll give you a Ball and a first round pick with some other stuff to make that happen. I mean, maybe that could work. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to give up LaMelo Ball and a first round just for one first round. I mean, obviously, there would have to be more working out with that. But at least that could be on the table of the discussion what went on. But, yeah, I think I'm totally with you. I would love to see him go to the Hornets just for the fact that should make them relevant pretty quick. He's still young. He's got great size, got great physicality with him too. But, I mean, age does play a factor. He does need some time to develop still, but I don't think he's going to come in the league. Well, let me back up first to say this. I think he's going to have a better first year than our first 2 picks these last 2 years, because
for sure
don't even know what they're doing this year. So
Pelicans,
I will say he'll make
Pelicans is a little interesting too. Pelicans is a little interesting to me too. Now, because the reason why I say that is because now Zion could go to the small forward spot, which he should be a small forward. Should not be playing power forward. He's not.
And 2 Dukes on the team.
Because if you're only giving me 6-7 rebounds a night, you're a small forward. And then you're 6'6". So I mean, you're pretty much, that's what you are. Now Flagg could go to the 4 spot. And I'm blanking on the young player, his last name, that they drafted. He's a rookie. He's playing center. He's playing center right now for them. He's playing solid minutes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Austin Reeves, but I know you're not talking about him.
No, so I'm talking about the Pelicans. But that'd be interesting to me. Pelicans, Hornets, looking at these teams here are really the only teams I would like to see him on out of the rebuilding franchises. What about you? You said you're cool with Charlotte. What about some of these other teams you see here?
I mean, I'm with you as far as the Pelicans, because we've been waiting for the Pelicans to be something for at least 4 or 5 years. The Nets I'd be interested in. I don't want to go to 76ers. We talked about the whole Philly and the Flagg and stuff like that with Washington, but that would go there too. Raptors, I would like him to be a Raptor more than I would like him to be a 76er or a Wizard. The Bulls would be okay. I do kind of think it's interesting with Jazz out there. Of course, we know how Utah is and what weird stuff they've got going on anyways, but he would be a perfect fit out there. But I think Pelicans would probably be my second option. I'm with you on that, but just to have 2 Duke players together for the Pelicans, we're waiting for Zion to have his breakout season. I mean, can we say that possibly? Like,
They're still, still TBD.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would rather him go to the Hornets. I'm going to stick with that, but I'm okay with Pelicans. The rest of the list, I don't want. Is there any dark horse teams that has a possibility of jumping up there?
It's tough. It's tough, especially with the Wizards and Jazz. Their records are so bad.
Right.
It's tough to see some of those like other middle of the pack teams really sneak up there and win the lottery. But Toronto, you have to trade like RJ. You just got Ingram, and then you got Scotty Barnes. Like, what is that? So somebody has to come off the bench. If that were to happen, it's just obviously hypothetical. They're not that bad, so I don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
Sixers could be a wild card because they're not good, but they have talent. They have talent on their roster, but they don't have the wins. Mm-hmm. So they could kind of be one of those teams that'd be crazy. But I would like to see him in the Eastern Conference. I think the NBA. Listen, I mean, you could say what you want. Is the lottery enhanced? I don't know. But I feel like if it is, you would want Flagg in the East because
Right.
you need to build more Eastern Conference teams. So now they could catch up with the West, and now you could have a golden age.
Mhm. Appreciate the comment on Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. We talked about that earlier. We don't feel like, as the number one pick, that you could go back to Duke. We understand there's talk about that, but your whole goal in life as a kid is to reach the NBA, and you're going to maybe go back to Duke just because you don't want to go play for a team. And what we mentioned earlier is the teams that are bad this year are probably going to be bad next year too. So it's just delaying this happening. But I was looking at the draft picks. Of course, they're projected, and I was just kind of looking at who's got what pick. But there's one team that has the 10th overall pick and the 11th overall pick. Could they possibly bundle something together to try to make this happen? But that's the San Antonio Spurs. Could you imagine if they got gutsy enough to say, hey, we've got these 2 picks. Let us give you one, a player, or maybe even both to get the first round pick. Because usually, I mean, let's be honest, 10, 11, 10 still okay in 11, I think, but it's starting to get to that, hey, we see potential here. 13 through 15 or even 20, it's more or less they're young, they got talent. Let's see if we can produce this as we go on. But 1 through 5 is a different caliber than the 10 through 15. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't make that trade. I wouldn't make that trade if I had the first pick. No way.
Okay.
Not even,
especially because Flagg is so much better than what we had this year's draft class. It's a different first round on this one.
Yeah, but this draft class is much better than last year's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of talent, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, there's definitely some talented guys.
Yeah, but could you imagine Flagg, Wemby, Fox? What a young core!
That'd be great. That'd be great for the Spurs, but the team that would get the number 1 pick is not going to say, yeah, I'll take 10 and 11 and forego Flagg. Like that's, you might as well just quit.
It could be the Hornets. I mean, they've not done anything in a while, so maybe they.
That'd be insane.
So we do agree he definitely going to the NBA this year.
For sure.
All right. So here's our next topic. I'm really excited about this, but let me bring in this comment first, just see what here. True, not a number 1. I wouldn't trade if it was Flagg coming out. Yeah, absolutely. Let's be honest. So our next topic. Oh, didn't bring up the banner, did I? I apologize. Who is the top 5 point guards in the NBA? And of course, CJ's already got the graphic pulled up. Perk's been saying some crazy things here lately, but his 1 through 5, he's got. Well, I guess he's even got it ordered. Number 5 for the podcasters that are listening later. Number 5, he's got Cade Cunningham. Number 4, he's got Luka. 3, Steph Curry. 2, Jalen Brunson. And number 1, SGA. CJ, what do you feel on this? Or how do you feel on this?
Yeah, I believe those are the 5 best in point guards in the league. I would go SGA 1. Steph 2, Luka 3,
okay.
Brunson 4, and then Cade 5. That'd be my top 5.
And look at you in all this New York gear that you got on, and you still staying loyal to the NBA and saying Brunson at 4. I appreciate that.
With Luka being out, you could definitely probably go Brunson 3 and Luka 4 because he did miss a lot of the season. But obviously, talent-wise and player-wise, and SGA, again, like we talked about earlier, what he's done this season, how well he's played, definitely is going to be number 1 for sure. And then Cade, big perk, yeah. And then Cade, I mean, he's going to be in the discussion from here on out, and he's definitely over time as the years progress, getting into that top 3. Discussions because look what he's doing right now, and he's been healthy, and we're seeing what he's able to do and carry a team, lead a team to success. A team like the Pistons, getting them back into the playoffs in the top 6 at that. again, we talk about it on the show, but it doesn't get talked about enough. You see guys like Shaq, and I feel like for Shaq, he's kind of going at the Pistons. I guess it's like tough love or whatever. He's just not impressed until you do something that he's in terms of doing something special, winning a playoff series or something like that. But based on where they were last year to now, I definitely got to give him a lot of credit. Exactly, if he can stay healthy, 100%, or he's going to be a problem. So yeah, that'll be my top five. That'll be my top five. But yeah, Brunson, prayers up to my guy, the ankle sprain, out 1 to 2 weeks. It's gonna be tough. Got a big win yesterday, but I don't think it's any discussion. Like, these are the 5 top guys for sure.
Okay, so Kyrie's not in it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he'd be all right there on the outside looking in. It'd be tough for me to really take anyone out of this list. I just have the order a little bit different.
Right. So, because to me, and Cade is probably the least that I've watched, and I'm just being truthful. So I'm unfortunately, respectfully, don't know much about Cade. Obviously, he came out of the NBA draft, was the front runner, of course, first overall, and then, of course, was out quite a bit. I've not watched the Pistons that much this year, and I apologize, Detroit. Come at me, I guess. So I don't know. I'm going to trust you. Obviously, I respect everything you say in the NBA, but I just had some other names that possibly could be on this list. Like, of course, we got Dame, but he doesn't play much defense. Of course, he's a great scorer, but I feel like he is kind of past his prime on this. So I was fine not him being on this list. But I also want to mention De'Aaron Fox. And since going to the Spurs, his stats have come down a little bit, getting into a new coach, the whole thing on that. But I do think he is a super I have him high on this list. Maybe it's a little bit of the Kentucky love there, but at the same time, I just want to ask you, where would you have De'Aaron Fox on this? Obviously not 1 through 5, but where do you have him at?
Top 10. I mean, from six to 10, it can really get interchangeable. Definitely.
And I agree with you on that.
Yeah, then that's in that second 5 for sure. But I feel like Cade's having a better season, and what he's doing right now is similar to what we saw Fox do a couple of years ago with the Kings, right? Now they had more wins. It was a more impressive season, but based on where we saw the Pistons last year, went losing like 27 in a row to now being a top 16 in the East, and they play tough. They play with a certain type of identity that's very similar and reminiscent to what we saw back in the day, back in the early 2000s.
Right.
So now it's not all the way there, but it's like this NBA's version of it with some of the players that they have. And he's the leader. He's the guy. And he's the number 1 pick too. So like, this is what we expect. I don't know. Like, over the last few years, like, I don't know what's happening. Like, we're supposed to like giving these number 1 picks a pass or whatever. I don't know, but K's living up to the hype, and I think. This is, he had 26, 8, and 10 tonight. Yeah, they played the Wizards. So what? But that's what you're supposed to do. Supposed to do exactly what you do every single other night. Doesn't matter who you play. All-star this year.
One more comment. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Do I see a future where Fox get back in the top 5? Yeah, sure. Sure. Spurs get into the top. Spurs get into the top 6.
And at some point, Steph's got to retire. Let's just be honest.
If the Spurs get into the top 6 next year, Fox, Wembanyama, I mean, if they were even higher, on a top 5 seed, something like that, undeniable. You got to put him up there.
Right. And of course, I mean, Chris Paul is on the team. It's Fox playing more shooting guard. I mean, we got to figure what they go on that. I mean, it's Fox's team with Wemby on that as well, but just trying to think. Do we technically say Fox is the point guard, or is he?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. As far as his top 5, I'm kind of with you on Steph should be over Jalen, and as far as Luka and Jalen, I would put Luka over Jalen. So I mean, 5 out of these are exactly the same. Luka, like you said, been hurt, but still, like, when he's there, when he's good, when he's there, it's phenomenal. So, all right.
Sir.
So we got, let's see here. How many more topics we got? Just a couple more. So we got a question for you guys and gals, of course. What has happened to the front court position in the NBA? We dived into this a little bit when we was talking about center with Jokic and the MVP and everything. So let's see what the graph says here.
A little bit of Zebo
Great
highlights.
player.
Yeah. And it just goes to my point. And this shot is open all day in today's NBA, by the way. The shot is just wide open. It's like nothing but open space in today's NBA at this area. And this was kind of my point. I was watching this highlights earlier today. And you don't see this from the power forward spot in the league right now. You really don't. Most of the power forwards, they're either standing at the 3-point line or they're just catching lobs. That's it. They have no footwork, no post game. They can't, no face up. Exactly. That's all they do.
Yep.
That's all they do. Just stand in the corner. Your power forward is just it's just a tall shooter.
Yep.
That's what the power forwards are in today's NBA. A tall shooter. That's not a front court player. Like that's not what a front court player is supposed to mean. Like, yes, you could still be able to shoot, but that doesn't mean you're supposed to just stand there the whole time. You're supposed to develop and work on your game. Like, how is Zach Randolph able to, like, why are we not seeing power forwards go off like this? So this is one thing, the lack of development at the position, and then also the lack of scouting from the people from these teams. Because they feel like they're so analytic based, they think it's all about threes and layups. Right. But when you look at Jokic does most of his work right in this area, right in the high post, right? This is where Jokic does most of his work right here. And he's getting 30, 20, and 20. So if you're telling me as a basketball fan, you're like, okay, this guy's getting 30, 20, and 20.
Mm-hmm.
Getting triple doubles, being efficient in these spots on the court. Why? Like we need to see an influx of more taller players from all across the world, really. Work on their game, develop their game. Like the big men are going backwards while the guards are improving. Because in the last few eras, we saw dominant front court players: Duncan, Dirk, Amari, Kevin Garnett,
Gasols,
Rasheed Wallace, the Gasols. These dudes were Al Jefferson. Like these dudes were getting to it. They were getting to it, man. Like nowadays, you just see that's a great dunk. Wow, that was a great dunk. These front court, like 75% of the front court players in today's NBA, when they get the basketball in this area, they don't even know what to do. They just hand it off. They just ready to hand it off and set a screen. If you go under, the guard will just shoot the ball. Like they have no idea what to do with the basketball if they get the basketball outside of the paint. It's crazy. So when people tell me like, yeah, the league is involved, people them saying underrated. Because he was I don't know why he stayed in Charlotte so long, but he was underrated. He was so underrated, bro. But yeah, man, it's just watching these highlights growing up, watching Zebo go off and some of these other guys. And I'm like, why aren't the players in today taking it to another level? Adding more to the game. Now, yeah, I'm saying, again, you could shoot. That's fine. You could shoot threes, but you shouldn't be shooting that many threes. You shouldn't be shooting that many threes. You need to get to it right here. And because if you have great players in this area, in this spot of the court, what's going to happen is you're going to develop great defenders.
Yeah.
Because somebody's going to have to stop them, and if they're not able to stop them, they're going to go off every single night. And so that's what I feel like is the problem right now in today's NBA. My last thing for me is where today's NBA is a great guards and great wings, skilled wings. Mm-hmm. If you could have skilled front court players, with the wing players and the guards, you'll have the best era in basketball. Easy.
I will bring in this comment said, of course, he doesn't understand why the NBA teams don't have at least one low post player. It's just like the NFL is overlooking the running back. Now they realize how dumb they were for doing that. I do agree with that, of course. But the only thing is, I hate what I'm about to say. I literally do. But it's better to shoot threes in their statistics when you're shooting over 35% as a team than it is to shoot twos. Just for the mathematical equations to try to figure it out, you can shoot and make more points by shooting more threes with the lower percentage, even at 50% on twos. It's dumb. I don't like it because a lot of these, even in the highlights, Zebo's getting fouled, so he's going to the line to get an extra free throw or an extra point too. So I wish that we could go back to this, but unfortunately, until they change something, I don't think they will. I feel like almost they have to change the and one to possibly and two to make it more enticing where we go back to this, which is crazy to even think. But like +1 still has a bad shooter possibly shooting a free throw that probably shoots 60 to 70%. So what's the chances of that anyways? So unfortunately, statistically, it is better still to shoot the threes. And let's be honest, Zebo, how tall was he? Probably 6'11", somewhere around there, 6'10", 6'11". We have people now at the 4 spot that are way shorter.
6'9".
Yeah. And it's just because we're trying to get another person who can shoot. I mean, that's really it. Could you imagine? And obviously, Jason Tatum is a phenomenal player. I'm not bad-mouthing him here at all. But he plays 4 sometimes. Of course, now that they've got different lineups, they got Porzingis and they have Horford. But they've run Tatum at the 4. Could you imagine Tatum trying to guard Zebo? It's not going to happen. But, of course, on the other end, Zebo's not going to guard Tatum. So, I mean, it's a mismatch that they do on that. But at the same time, this to me is more fundamental basketball. I mean, the jab, 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 crossover, spin back, like that's fundamental basketball. Now we have almost YMCA basketball. I mean, everyone, when you go to play pickup ball, it is get to 24 as fast as you can, shoot to 3. You get a rebound, you're dribbling it down, you're shooting it. It's no fun because that's all you do. The NBA is that now. So, I mean, I'm getting into a rant on it, but sadly, I wish CJ, the front court could come back because Jokic, he's great at what he does. And there's not many that can do it in the NBA anymore now. So, I mean, why aren't they taking advantage of this? If you could have one guy center, because let's be honest, and I'm going on another rant here. If the ball makes it down low, how much of a better percentage you have shooting the 3 anyways? Like it's statistically on that. I don't have the numbers, but to catch the ball in front of you to pull up on that on an in and out, kick out basically. And also you can see how much the defense are all paying attention to Zebo, even in just this picture. All 4 right there are shifting over to help in some form or fashion. I don't know where the 5th guy is. So it's just like, hey, like, strategically, if we can get it to the post where we're doing something, once the help is there, you kick it out and you're shooting 30% from 3. Now you're not getting a contested 3, so you even have probably a higher percentage on that as well. But yeah, I'm going to say it again, just for my guy here, fundamentals, man. Like right now, like you said, the big men catch it at the free throw line. They can't put the ball on the court to go in for a layup or do anything. They're seriously looking for a guard to come off of a screen from them to hand it off and then go for a lob. That's it. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful for you 4s and 5s, but we've said it numerous times on here. You need a big who can block shots and go up and get alley-oops. And that's all that you do anymore in the NBA.
Yeah, that's really what most of these guys do. I mean, they don't work on their games. It's just what they don't. they really don't work on their games and advance. When you see someone playing the same exact way 5, 6 straight years, I think it's a testament again to the player and also the team and how the teams view players. They view front court players now as just floor spacers, and everything is about the guard. If that front court player can't dribble, he's not as big of a factor. That's how a lot of these teams look at it. If you can't dribble the ball, you have to space the floor. And to me, I didn't grow up watching basketball like that. That's not how I grew up watching basketball. It was both. It was a combination of both.
Yes.
It was great front court players that didn't have to, do a bunch of crossover moves to get to their spots and dominate. And I saw them win championships. Like Dirk, 2-3 dribbles, going up, going to the free throw line, taking shots. He wasn't doing spin step backs, he wasn't doing half spin step backs and all this other type of stuff. But he did work with him.
Even on this highlight, Randolph, there was a couple of times I was just watching it because that's how I used to play. Not as big, but like if I'm triple threatening someone, 2 dribbles. I'm getting a layup. Jab, pump fake, whatever. Okay, now I got this here. You're rocking. Zebo a couple of times only took 1 dribble from the 3-point line. Jabbed a couple of times. Okay, now I'm going 1 dribble. I'm going for a layup. Like, you work the defense. Now it's just like you're dancing out there trying to do something. This is something that is always irritating me. I see stuff where these people are doing their training videos on TikTok or whatever. And it's like, okay, this is the move. Come here, 3 dribbles, crossover, pull up. This is what you're going to do. Or like, let's add this to your bag. Tween, step back, 3. I'm sorry. I've always just dribbled the ball and read the defense and react to what they did. That's how I would score. I would never say, hey, let me go do this trick. Like, like in wrestling, you're going to hit XX, B, to do a combination. Like, they're trying to put all this stuff together. Like, I'm sorry, if I'm triple threat and the right foot's up, I'm going to attack that right foot. And once you retreat, I'm going the opposite way because you're off balance and I'm laying it up. I don't have to do combos. You just play basketball. And that's a rant for me. I apologize there.
No, listen, I agree. It's just how people see the game. It's how the people that run the teams, it's how they see the game. And it's really what it's going to take. It's going to take a ownership and a GM and a president to view the game or how it used to be and try to blend it in today's NBA. You'd have a. I mean, Jokic is really what that is. He's like an old school. He's a throwback in today's NBA, and this is why he's putting up the astronomical numbers that he puts up. I mean, only him and Wilt Chamberlain are the only ones putting up these type of numbers. So just imagine what Tim Duncan and Shaq, Yao Ming, just imagine what they would be doing, Kevin Garnett, in this era, where these front court players have no idea how to guard the post. No idea. They go to the free throw line all the time. They jump on every single pump fake. Get analytics out of here. Yeah, just not all the way, but like I don't feel like you should run your team based solely just off that. Like if you're running your team just solely off that, you're doing yourself a disservice. I mean, look at Daryl Morey.
I want to ask you this real quick because you mentioned it. Tim Duncan right now in the NBA, they couldn't stop him. But if Tim Duncan was in the NBA right now, would he even be playing? Much because
or center,
but they don't use him that way. Center possibly, go up there and get an alley-oop and dunk. But the whole off the glass back to the goal, do their stuff. They don't want that. So I don't know really how valuable they would actually have Tim Duncan on the team now because it's run up the court, catch a 3, shoot it.
Well, that would just depend on how he would play it in college before he got drafted. And if you're a team and you draft him, why would you draft him and take away his strengths? Right? That
I agree.
That doesn't make any sense. So that's what I'm saying. Like it takes a team that they have to trust that style. And we haven't seen that in a long time. Like we've seen like DJ Burns and at North Carolina State, some of these younger play Kenny Lofton.
There you go. I was sitting there waiting to say that one.
Yeah, like we've seen some of these younger guys kind of be a throwback, but the teams don't believe in that style. They just don't. Now, granted, like yes, they have deficiencies as well in terms of they're going to be put on the island, especially if your teammate doesn't want to stay on the screen and he's saying switch. You're going to be on an island with Jason Tatum. You're going to have to figure it out. You have to figure it out. You're in the A. Figure it out. It's your job. It's your life. So, but if you're gifted on the other end, it's that give and take, and we could see what style will get the W. That's art. If you just see the same style, every team does the same styles. Okay, who's the best at doing that? Cool, congrats. Yep. They're great at that. They're the best team at doing that. As opposed to saying, wow, this team is great at that, and this is how they were able to win. But there's another team that also won a chip doing it this way. Let's see who can win more. Let's see what style can win more championships. those should be the discussion we should be having. And again, it's going to take a couple of owners that have some of that old soul to bring it back. Timmy was for sure. Yeah, he was crazy. He was going crazy at Wake Forest. Yeah. It's like,
All right.
He's like, we need you to be a stretch four. You see, he did at Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we need you to space the floor, Tim.
Yeah.
It's clear.
I mean, it literally blows my mind, though, because Tim Duncan, of what we know, if he went through college right now, would not be playing the same way. He would either have to be the center that's setting picks and rolls, or he'd have to learn to shoot a three, which he's shot a few threes, we know, in crunch times. But, that's what we would have with Tim Duncan, a completely different style.
So,
just blows my mind. All right, so moving forward, because we after 11 now. If the NBA playoffs started today, and of course, if you go to NBA.com, which I'm sure that's what you're on, it has it broken down on their website as far as the playoffs. Of course, this is on Twitter, a picture here from NBA as well. So if it ended today in the West, we'd have number 9 taking on 10, and that would be the Kings take it on the Mavericks. On the bottom play-in with the 7 and 8, or just bottom on here, obviously they're ranked higher, would be the Timberwolves and the Clippers. Do you want to stop there and go, or just this whole picture?
Yeah, we can start right. We can stop right there.
Okay. Who you got in the 9-10 game?
I mean,
Can we line say they're all healthy?
No, well, listen, I'm going Sacramento, but again, I just saw Sacramento play the Knicks last night with LaVine, and they didn't have Sabonis, but they had LaVine and DeRozan out there, and they got smoked by 25. So I don't know what Sacramento Kings team I'm going to get on a nightly basis. That's why I hesitated, despite the Mavericks having so many injuries this season. They could go out there and just sell. Tough. They could go out there and sell. And listen, as special as DeRozan and LaVine are, we've seen them be unsuccessful in the play-in when they were Chicago Bulls. So it's not something that we haven't seen before. But yeah, I mean, I'll go Sacramento because the Mavs are playing 7 guys. So Sacramento should win that game.
Of course, I should, yeah. Of course, going to the other one, we got Timberwolves and Clippers.
This is tough.
It's a tough one, yeah. Clippers, I feel like, has the more star power, but the Timberwolves have that pride in them, especially when it comes to the play-in. We know they celebrate and act like they won a championship. I'm actually going to go Timberwolves here.
Okay. Yeah, the Timberwolves have been playing great lately. Last few weeks, they've been playing great basketball. The defense has been incredible. Anthony Edwards, they just got Julius Randle back last week. DiVincenzo, looking like Nick DiVincenzo. He's been hitting stride. Seems to be healthy now. He was dealing with some injuries throughout the season. You cannot sleep on them. They're dangerous. They know what it takes to win. They were in the Western Conference Finals last year. I know they don't have Cat, but most of those guys were still in the conference finals. It's going to be a close game. I believe they faced each other before. That was the Pat Bev that you were talking about when they celebrated.
Yeah.
It was T-Wolves Clippers. So they got a little playing rivalry. Mm-hmm. Right now, different teams, different players on the squad. I'm gonna go Clippers. I think Kawhi starts to pick it up here in terms of scoring and just his overall play over these next few weeks. And I think with that, Harden filling the role, Ty Lue, it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a very close game, but I'm going to take the Clippers. Zubac, it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game.
Hey, I apologize. I took it away from there. I had a big screen so I can see these. We appreciate you. Yeah, definitely follow us on Twitter. All that whole 9 yards on that. Of course, he's saying Kings win, Clippers got a shot. I apologize again. I wasn't paying attention to these comments. Didn't work in Chicago. I totally agree with that. But we'll see how it goes. And, of course, I don't like Randall on this team at all. It hurts a little bit. But with that being said, we both agree that whoever wins the 8 and 10 or 9 and 10 is not winning the next game. Whoever we pick, the Timberwolves or the Clippers, is going to win that game. I think that's hands down. If the Mavericks were to upset the Kings because of what they have, there shouldn't be a way that the Timberwolves or the Clippers lose in that play-in game for that 8th seed.
It's an exciting game. It's an exciting game because they're such a wild card, man. Sacramento, they're such a wild card team. They could really go out there and put up 130 in a regulation game easy, and then the next one is 89. Like it's so weird. It's so weird how they play. Well, it's not weird. I mean, it's because Levine and DeRozan they don't commit on defense like they're supposed to. That has to be a mindset. If your 2 best players don't prioritize that, honestly, your 3 best players, because Sabonis is not the best defender either. So when your 3 best players aren't, their first thing is not defense the way it should be. The rest of the team, that's what the rest of the team is going to look like. Mm-hmm. Period. But yes, I would say I would pick the 7 or 8 seed against Sacramento just because their defense is not good enough. I don't trust them. All right. Let's go on the other side. On the East, we got the 9-10, got the Heat and the Bulls, and then we got the Hawks and the Orlando Magic. Heat, Bulls. Man, like 12 years ago, this was a classic. Now it's a playing classic. It's a playing classic now. It should be D Rose, Bron, D Wade, Luol Deng. Now we got. That was just different. That was different. I ain't gonna
Was Butler on that team during that time?
He got drafted in 2012.
Okay. I was going to say, how funny, Butler on both of those teams. But, I mean, we all know this. Miami, when it comes to playoff, even without Timothy, man, they're going to win this game. Totally going to win this game, right? Right, CJ? Help me out here, man. Come on.
You got Miami winning this, right, bro?
Of course. You do too, right?
Yeah, I do. I do have Miami winning this game 9-10.
Thank goodness.
It's a better coach, better collection of players. I mean the Bulls. Now you can't sleep on them either. I mean they play well. They have moments where they play well. Kobe White is a scorer. I mean, he could score. Mm-hmm. He could go off and get 30, 35. He could have those type of games. And when you talk about a one game, that's really just a 1 game series. Anything could happen.
Yep.
Anything could happen. So, but I feel like with Miami getting, home court, for 1 game, even though Miami's home court is a little different than other people's home court, but I'll still take the Heat.
Okay.
The 7-8 though.
That's a tough one because you don't know what team is going to show up for Atlanta.
Taking the Magic.
I'm with you, but you don't know what team really is going to show up for Atlanta. I mean, they could come out for 130 one night. I do think Orlando is the safer pick here. So we'll say Orlando is that 7th seed. So you got Hawks and Miami. I'm with Miami still. It's just, I'm sorry, I can't.
No, I got Orlando and Miami.
Well, if Orlando beats Atlanta,
winner of 9-10. Oh, right, that's right.
The loser. Yeah.
So Miami and the Hawks. Oh, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
This was a nice little. They had some fun matchups. Hawks and Miami, man.
I trust Sproles. I'm going with Miami.
Trust Spoelstra, the guy that's not on the court.
Yes,
that's interesting. So yeah, that's a good game. That's a good game. I would go Miami as well.
Okay, this is when Duncan Robinson actually starts playing. So it's playoffs time, man. We're all right.
Perfect time.
All right, so so let's go with this mid games here. Let's go with let's stay with the East. We got the Bucks and the Pistons at the 4-5. Who we got?
So the Bucks and the Pistons?
And the Pacers. Pacers. I said Pistons. Yeah. Yes, Pacers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Bucks and the Pacers, 4-5. Maybe Milwaukee in 7.
Okay.
So we
I
know
think they
Doc
have.
Rivers history and no lead is
Can we
safe.
make it?
You got Doc. No lead is safe with Doc Rivers, man. So
No.
that joint going 7. It has to. His history never fails.
I hope this series goes 3-1 Pacers and the Bucks come back and win to take this, win a game 7. But I do think Bucks, I feel like they just have a chip on their shoulder this season. The not talked about team as much as in the past, and they need that respect. So I'm going them. But I will say Pacers in the past seem like they have the Bucks numbers and just a tad bit of that. So that's going to be a good game, a good series for sure. So let's just jump over to the West. We got the 4 and 5 over there. We've got the Grizzlies and the Rockets.
Yes, first series. This is going to be a first of many between these two teams going forward in the future. For sure, this won't be the last time we see these two teams match up in the playoffs.
I'll go first on this one if you don't care. I'm going to go Grizzlies on this one, just for the fact that Ja. I think his last season, playoff time coming in. Hey, I'm coming here to prove that I am still that guy, because we didn't even mention him in the top 5 point guards in the NBA right now. So I feel like he's got a lot to prove coming into this playoffs with this. And I just feel that Houston's youth, when it comes to playoffs, is a little bit different. So I think they might get punched in the mouth the first couple of games and then kind of match that intensity. And I just feel like Grizzlies going to come out. I'm going to say in 6.
Yeah, I like Memphis in 6 as well, just off the fact that I think there'll be competitive games. I think all the games would be really competitive, but I just don't like the way the Rockets, their inability to close games, where they'll have the lead, similar to what the Timberwolves were a few years ago when they went up against the Grizzlies in the first round, where they had substantial lead against the Grizzlies, but they kept blowing the lead in the fourth quarter and ended up losing the game. Now, I don't know how it would happen, but I just don't trust their fourth quarter play. And in the playoffs, that's what matters the most. Who's going to be the guy if the team goes on, if the opposing teams go like on a 7-0 run? Now you're only up 1. Who's going to knock down that shot to kind of ease the team, ease everything? Like, we're still good. We still got this. Who's going to take that type of shot? Is it Jalen Green? Is it Şengün? Is it, some of these other players? Is it Amon Thompson? Like, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of questions. So I just think with the experience that the Grizzlies have already had in the playoffs, go with Memphis. Yeah. All right, 3-6.
So let's go to the East. Let's save that West for last on this.
All right.
So on the East for 3-6, we've got the Knicks and the Pistons. There's one, the Pistons. CJ, go ahead, sir.
They got the Knicks in 6. I think it's going to be a fun series, a really good matchup. Isaiah Stewart, I could definitely see a couple. There's going to be some pushing and shoving, some texts being given out. Got Josh Hart, Isaiah Stewart in that series. Tom Thibodeau, guys are going to be having things to say. Yeah, I just think we match up. They match up really well with us. Actually, they do. They have the veterans that they were able to bring in: Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley. Not all-star players, but necessary quality players that you need for a young team. And they've done a great job filling in, playing their role, and doing exactly what they need to do to help that team win. I just think defensively, they're not going to be able to stand and stick with us. We have a closer. They have a closer too. Cade is special. That's going to be a tough cover. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, all those guys are going to at some point would have to guard him in the series if this were to happen. But I don't think they don't have an answer at all for Brunson. Now, you could put a sore on him, 6'7", young, athletic guy. That seems to be what opposing teams like to do against Brunson. Kind of put a taller wing on him because he's just too strong against regular guards. But it doesn't matter. Cat's going to be the X factor, man. Cat has to dominate Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart. Got to cook all those guys. Got to average 30 and 14. Should be averaging 30 and 14 in the series. Anything less than that is unacceptable. I don't want to go super deep dive in because it's nothing set yet. But
right.
I want to make it known now. Like, this brother should be averaging at least 28, 27 every single series. No excuses.
Well, I think it happens, and I actually was going to say if it ends today and this is the matchup, I'm going Knicks in 5.
Okay.
More confident in the Knicks because I do think, Kat, like, this is your time, and this is why the Knicks drafted you. Like, it is your team to show up to and prove that you are that guy that can play some defense and be that top center at that against this matchup here. So I'm going 5 there. So let's jump over to the West where we have number 3 Lakers against number 6 Warriors.
Wow. See, this is why it's tough because I don't think I'd be shocked. If it ends up like this, this would be crazy. I mean, one fan base is going to be upset in the first round.
Yes.
LeBron fans, Steph fans, somebody's going to be tight. And the fact that when we used to see both of those guys go up against each other in the finals, now we're seeing them go up against each other in the first round. It's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy, especially at this stage of both of their careers. We can see LeBron or Steph hypothetically get knocked out in the first round. That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, we don't even those were never discussions over the last 10 years. We never said anything like that. So that being said, with the way both teams have looked post trade deadline, I'm gonna go with the Lakers in 7. Go with the Lakers in 7. I think it's gonna be a fun matchup. But LeBron and Luka, and it's just the other players that they have on the team are high IQ, really good players, knocking down the 3. It's gonna be a fun matchup, man. JJ Redick, Steve Kerr. But I feel like ultimately they don't have anybody over there that could guard Luka or LeBron. Jimmy Butler's good. Jimmy Butler will play and try to guard both of those guys, but and Draymond will be on LeBron at certain moments, but consistently throughout the game, they don't have an answer for those two.
I'm going to Warriors in 7.
Warriors in 7? All right.
Yep. I'm going Warriors. This Golden State team, man, just getting Jimmy Butler. And I'm not being a Jimmy Butler homer just because of Miami. Dude, when it comes to playoff time, it's hard to go against him. Plus, with the energy that I feel like they're playing with now, if they've got this trade going on, I think Butler's defense plus his offense, Steph Curry's who he is by himself. I don't know who stops him with the Lakers or on the Lakers. So, I mean, Luka, in my opinion, would be a liability on the defensive side. Is he going to guard Butler? I don't see that happening. And, of course, I just feel that the Warriors are a better team right now. That's why I said earlier. So kind of just I'm staying together. I said the Warriors, I think, could actually jump to this 3rd seed by the end of this with LeBron being hurt. So I really like this Warriors team, man. I'm going to say them in 7 just for the matchup. LeBron's going to block Steph a couple of times. Steph may throw a mouthpiece, but at the end of it, Warriors are going to win in 7.
That was in 7. I'm not mad at that. That'd be crazy.
That'd be such a great series.
Steph was to eliminate Bron and Luka in the first round. Crazy narratives. Insane.
Do we want to go any further than this or just call it at that? Because, I mean, it's still everywhere.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Nothing set in stone yet, but this is set up to be really good. It's going to be an exciting playoffs this year. Some new teams in the mix. So that's always exciting.
Yeah.
And in terms of like what they're going to do, they could definitely surprise people, surprise teams. Happens all the time. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun in a few weeks.
Yes, sir, for sure. What's crazy is even the Lakers had Lakers Warriors at the what am I doing here? The 3-6. It could even be them at the 4 or 5 by the end of this. Like that matchup's just crazy to think about.
Crazy.
All right, CJ. Another great show.
Great show.
I think we're wrapping this up. We appreciate everyone that's tuned in. Thank you for the comments that was in there. We appreciate that. We'll try to check out your podcast too. Let us know whenever you're live as well. It's a whole network of what we do here. We all have great content. We all just trying to support each other. But CJ, if you're not on MNC Hoops, where can we find you at?
Find me on X at cjames9_. On IG, cj.james9. CJ versus the world on YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. Appreciate it.
You can find me MD Lawson00 pretty much on all social media platforms. I have a second show called Cats Chat. We go live on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Pretty much all the time. My brother and I, we're talking everything Kentucky basketball, football, just you name it, we talk it. But other than that, man, you can find me on one of those podcasts, basically. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Please go hit that subscribe, the notification bell on YouTube. We appreciate all that. But until then, guys, you have a great one.
See you guys next week. Take care.